Sound. I know that song. It's your boy Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you 2 flights up from the kitchen, just below the roof in my attic. Every single Friday morning, I bring to you philanthropy in focus. I bring to you leaders of nonprofit organizations. I bring to you change makers, people who are making the world a better place, people who realize that there's a need and they get out in front of it and they do the research and they bring the resources and they make the change and they make the impact. People from all different walks of life get opportunities in front of them and they say, you know what, there's an opportunity here to create a solution. And I'd encourage you, look, this thing here, Philanthropy in Focus, the radio show podcast, it was an idea I had. It was an idea that I walked around and told people about for a while. And finally, in January of 2021, it began. And now I think I'm right around 110 episodes, or at least that what it was like 108, 109, 110. I'm not sure. But I was telling people last night it was 110 because it's a round number when I was out. Last night, shout out to the folks, friends of Karen. It was the Emerald City. We were in the Emerald City. Now, I don't know if you know this, everybody, but in the 6th grade, in the disability awareness play at the Washington Street School, I was the Tin Man. And it was my first and only theater opportunity, which is kind of silly when I sort of look back. I mean, I probably should have done a lot more stuff because I am a bit of a performer. Hello, Kerry. Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Very
Kerry
good.
Gillick-Goldberg is here. She was with me. We'll be together for the next hour. I wanted to just bring her in because I saw her getting a little amused by the story I was telling. 6th grade play. I had no idea. I look back and I'm very involved in nonprofits that are related to and serve individuals and participants with intellectual and developmental disabilities. My cousin Linda had special needs and Linda passed. And shout out to the Lindy Lou Foundation, March 26th at Syosset Lanes out here in Long Island, is the big Lindy Lou Classic. All that money gets raised, goes to nonprofits that are serving the IDD space, the IDD community. So it's funny when I try to track things back, I didn't realize, but I was thinking about this last night. Back being in the Emerald City last night, I had a green suit. Probably can only wear it next Friday, and then it has to go back in the closet until next Friday being the Feast of St. Patrick, for those of you who might not be aware. But my friend Yolanda Rabano Gross from Options for Community Living was my friend, my buddy, my date to the event, and I met with all these other nonprofit folks in the room last night. Really special, and it's just so funny. We go to these events and I'm sure wherever you're listening to this podcast, you might go to nonprofit events and maybe you're often in the same rooms, the same catering facility. But it was great last night because there was green lights everywhere and they made the room look like a completely different room. And I've been in that room 100 times, at the Heritage at Bethpage out here in Long Island. And it just looked different and it was very special. Friends of Karen, shout out to Friends of Karen. Again, they've been on the show. Leslie and Judy have come on the program, and the funny thing too, Kerry, I'll tell you this, and everyone else listening, is Yolanda was watching Philanthropy in Focus while I was interviewing the folks from Friends of Karen, and they mentioned this Emerald City thing, and she's on Facebook checking in with me while we're doing the show, and I was like, "You want to go with me, like live?" And she's like, "Yes." And then we didn't remember until about a month and a half, 2 months ago, what we were going to. We knew we had a date on the 9th of March. We couldn't figure it out. But Leslie, shout out to Leslie for sending me the invitation in the mail and reminding me I had to wear green. So we'll leave that there. But if you don't know me by now, let me tell you, nonprofits, they change our world. And I'm on a mission to just consistently have conversations and bring awareness to the work that nonprofits, their leaders, their boards, their supporters, and and equally as important, their staff and their associates that do the work are doing. And that's my job. That's what a nonprofit sector connector does. So if you Google what does a nonprofit sector connector do, you're probably not going to find anything. So hit me up on Instagram, TommyD.NYC, and I'll tell you. But just one last thing before we get into today's conversation. This is just one anecdotal story that happened earlier this week. I was on location with Long Island Alzheimer's and Dementia, and we had a meeting. I brought in my friends, Katie McGowan and Kerry from over at Horseability, and we were just having a strategy meeting. And that's what a connector does. And that's what I'm all about, is how does 2 plus 2 equal some number infinite, some number that is not 4, but is much larger than 4? That's the mission I'm on. Kerry, Gillick-Goldberg, you're on a heck of a mission when it comes to nonprofits. What a good segue, Tommy G. Yes, it was a good one. You're on a mission. I've been told that, you do a lot of the same things that I do, constantly connecting, finding solutions, making your way for nonprofits, with nonprofits. Allison LaFerlita, our friend in common, made this suggestion that we needed to connect and that you're on the show. I want to learn about your background. I want folks to understand your connection, your career, your connection to the nonprofit. And then we're going to be talking about baby essentials of Long Island. And that's where I started the show up at the front, just saying things happen, challenges are out there, and it takes somebody who's got resources and just the expertise to make it happen and to create a solution. And you've done that, certainly with this organization and in other organizations in the past. So first, I'd like to say a couple things. That is a long introduction. Let me just say this. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Philanthropy and Phocus. Good morning. How are you?
Very, very good. Today was the breakfast for the Girl Scouts of Suffolk County. So my morning started very early.
Yes, we have our friends, my friend Nyrikia White, our friend Tammy Severino leads that organization. Tammy's been on the program, so couldn't be there and in the attic at the same point personally, but I'm glad you were able to find a way to make it happen. So how was the event?
Oh, so far the part that I was there for is fabulous. And you walk in and you start getting hugs from everybody because they're excited to have seen you, after such a long time. Yeah. So it really was beautiful. Not to mention, somebody should have said that the swag bag comes with a box of Girl Scout cookies, and I would have gone every year. So it was one of the best swag bags I ever got.
I would have made, if I knew it was a box of cookies in the mix. Anybody who doesn't know me, I'm kind of a cookie monster. And if I knew there was cookies in the mix, I might have made the trip out there this morning. But you know what?
And I got Thin Mints.
I got one of my daughters sells the cookies, so I'm good. And I got a problem with cookies. That's another thing. I'll have to talk to my nutritionist about that issue that I have. Leave it on the side for now. Let's not talk too much about cookies. But what'd you get? You got Thin Mints? I'm right back to the cookies.
I'm like thrilled to pieces.
It's funny. When Tammy came on the show, it was all about more than just cookies. Like that was like our theme, like Girl Scouts, Suffolk County, more than just cookies, So let's go back though. I want to understand, Kerry, why are you at Girl Scouts this morning? Why are you involved in the nonprofit sector? What is your background? What drew you to this work? So kind of take us from as far back as you want to go.
Well, the Girl Scout situation, let's be honest, that's how I became, I can sell ice to an Eskimo, and it's all because of my cookie sales background. So we have Girl Scouts to thank for that. But when I went to college to become an English teacher and a theater teacher, so I loved your story because, of course, one of my degrees is in theater, and so. I love that. And I ended up teaching in Hollis, Queens.
Hollis, Queens.
And it was
LL Cool J is from Hollis, Queens. Run DMC. My uncles and aunts are Hollis and Queens Village people. I did not know that we have a Hollis connection. Look at that.
See, and a DMC. We're actually in chats with him to do an event out here on the island. I'll keep my fingers crossed, and I'll invite you when the deal is done.
I would be happy to be there. And in fact, different, but the other Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, not the West Coast Dr. Dre, but there's another that Dr. Dre. He used to be on Yo MTV Raps. Mick Collins, if you're listening, I'm sure now you're very engaged in this conversation. My buddy Mick Collins is a big hip hop guy, especially Eminem. But Dr. Dre has lost his vision, he lost his sight, and he found it. Yeah. Kellyanne Serini had told me about this, that he lost his sight and he founded a nonprofit organization. So, there's like this whole connection here. Maybe we got to reach out to Dr. Dre and see what we can do there. But tell me, so Hollis, so you're teaching theater and English in Hollis?
Well, I was teaching English in Hollis, actually in middle school there. Back then, it was a long time ago. Back then, though, 6th grade was in the middle schools. So I taught English. And It was such a learning experience. I'm originally from Merrick,
Okay.
and then I student taught in Jericho.
Got it.
So then going out to Hollis was
Sure.
definitely different.
Yeah.
And it really set the groundwork, I believe, for what I do now.
It really set the groundwork for what you do now. So there's something there we gotta kind of expose there. It set the groundwork. What was it that you became aware of, that you were exposed to, that sort of opened your eyes a bit to what you're doing now?
I think it really had to do with need and learning how to communicate both with students and with their parents. And I really got so much out of it. I really did. But I did it for a short amount of time. This is going to sound bad, but I kind of got myself in a bit of a bind with the union, because I'm very much the type of person that if you need extra help, if you need extra time, of course I'm going to give it to you, So, you've got some rowdy kids, some not rowdy kids, you pull out the ones that really need that extra help because that they could do so much more. And then you find out that you're not allowed to be teaching on your lunch break and things like that. Yeah. And the school didn't allow for after hours. So it really would kill me that the kids in Merrick and the kids in Jericho would be showered with opportunity, and yet the kids in Hollis weren't. So,
just let me interrupt 1 second. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen to what my friend is sharing with us right there. This is reality. I would think the distance from Merrick, Nassau County to Hollis, Queens is probably 10 or 11 miles. And I'm not looking at a map, but I don't even think it's that much. I grew up right on the border of Queens and Nassau County in a town called Franklin Square. So a stone's throw from Queens and in the city of New York. So I'm just going to leave that out there. And I want everybody to consider that. And remember that things are not always equal. They're not equitable. And we still must do a lot of work, because your zip code in often cases determines a lot of what the trajectory of your life is going to be. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about literally miles away, if you're living in Nassau County versus Queens. And this is not, I'm not knocking the whole, city of New York or the Board of Education, but we got work to do, gang. We got work to do out here on Long Island too. So let's not make it that Long Island's got things figured out, right, Kerry? These are all me talking. Exactly. My voice, not Kerry's voice, everybody. So, I just say what I think a lot of times, Kerry. So one last point before we go to a break. What else did you just want to share about that?
Just that I really feel that what I did when I first got out of college really did set me up for this moment in time.
Wow. What a great cliffhanger. We will be right back. This is Philanthropy in Focus. Kerry Gillick-Goldberg is here. The name of the organization is Belly, which is such a cute name. Baby Essentials of Long Island. But there's much more story than simply this organization, although it is making an incredible impact. There's more story to you, what you do. We're going to find out when we come back. Philanthropy in Focus. Right back.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you on edge? Hey, we live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargeman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs each Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and perspectives about pushing boundaries and exploring our rough edges. That's The Edge of Every Day on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
I don't know if it's just the fact that I had a really cool evening last night going to that event. I don't know if it's just the fact that Kerry is here on the show with me today, or I don't know if it's just the fact that I'm Tommy D, but I'm extra fired up today. Philanthropy in Focus is the name of the show. In Focus, baby. All right. So the name of the organization is Baby Essentials of Long Island. Kerry, please take us back to your story to continue, because I know this all draws to the experience and then the eventual creation of this particular organization. So please take it away. I will do my best to listen. I'm going on listen only mode. Tommy D is now on listen only mode.
Well, it is a bit of a winding road, so just forgive me with that. But after I was done teaching, I opted to utilize my theater degree and I went into the garment center. I was in the garment center, owned a company with my sister for years, and then honestly didn't love the commute.
Yeah.
After we bought our house. So that the main line sometimes is a real problem. Yeah. So back then it was challenging. So after owning my business for over 10 years, my sister and I parted ways. I gave her my half of the business, but I had this idea that I could take what I loved most about working in the garment center, which was working with the magazines, working with different media outlets, and focus on public relations. And my husband was like, well, you don't have any girlfriends who work outside of the home on Long Island. How are you going to do this? So Lucy Rosen had a group called Women on the Fast Track. She advertised it in Newsday, and it was for women who were in business on Long Island. And I was like, all right, my husband's like, you got to do this. Here's this thing. And I was like, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's like half a work day. How am I going to get out at 5? But I was like, all right, I'll try this networking thing. So I met Lucy, and I met Karen Delago. Okay. Karen Delago happens to be a very well-known restaurant designer here on Long Island. But what's important about her is that she's the mom of Kayla Barnofsky. Kayla and her girlfriends watched an episode of Oprah, and they saw children who were enslaved in Ghana, Africa. And they realized that they could rescue a child for $4,800. So they made, those little camp bracelets, the woven ones.
Yeah. With the strings, you put the
yes. So they decided to do that and stick a little bead on it and sell them to raise money. Okay. So the mom was like, hey, can you make t-shirts for me? This and that. I was sure. We went out to lunch, and she showed me this logo that was a mathematical equation. The one is greater than none. And I looked at that and I was like, you know what? That would look fabulous on clothes. It really would. And so this is going to sound a little corny, but I put it out to the universe that if somebody wanted me to take over their East Coast sales of their garment company, I would do it as long as the girls got a licensing deal. No joke. 3 days later, the phone rings. It's a gentleman calling from Toronto. And he said, I've been asking everybody at Shul who I should hire in New York. And, and I'm thinking it's awfully funny, this Irish Catholic, girl's name comes up all these times in shul. So they decided to fly down to New York to meet me. And the girls, in the end, got an arrangement that you would never be able to get now. I mean, never.
Now,
It was 20%.
They're teenagers or they're younger than that? Are they like what, tweens?
Like 13.
Like 13-year-old girls?
Yeah, tweens. Tweens are really hungry
Yeah.
for nonprofit work and figuring out how their life works in the universe.
Oh my
So
God.
I love tweens.
This is such a great story. I didn't know anything about this story. This is a great story.
Oh, well, I love the girls. And obviously now they're older, they graduated college, they did
Right.
whatever. But back to the story, what I did was we got this 20% deal, 20% of the wholesale price, which you have to realize if you were ever involved in the garment center, everything's based on profit and profit can be manipulated. So I never wanted to do a deal based on, on the, whatever the profit was. Well, I did it on the net. So they literally, every time I sold a t-shirt for $10, $2 would go into the pot for the girls. In the end, we rescued 48 children. The line hung next to Juicy in every Bloomingdale's in the United States.
Come on.
Tons of boutiques, everything else. The girls are literally taught about. There are lesson plans and they're taught about in South Korea. And the girls won, they were like named the most philanthropic teens in the United States, X number of years ago.
This is a story. So let me just understand if I heard you correctly. First of all, thank you. First of all, I'm grateful for these young women, wherever you are. I mean, no big
They're
deal.
amazing.
No big deal. Just changing the whole freaking world. I mean, are you saying that there's like a case study that's what they teach? What you mentioned, Korea.
Yes.
Like this, what these young ladies accomplished is now like taught as,
It's taught so that other teens can follow in their footsteps. And this was about 10 years ago, if not, 10 or 11 years ago. One of the girls, Angelica, which her name is so appropriate, she is actually down on the border, work as an attorney, working with immigration.
Of course she is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
of course she is. You start out doing this.
Every girl has their own special niche. And honestly, I felt so blessed to have met the mother, to have met the daughters, and the girls. Actually, there's highlights of them that were in Teen Vogue. They were on, ABC. They were on the Today Show. Oprah knew about them. The only reason why they weren't on with Oprah was because Lisa Ling's sister got taken by North Korea the day that the girls were supposed to be on. So anyway, that's how I got started in the nonprofit.
So you weren't even necessarily looking for it. The opportunity gets brought to you, and you, based on your connections and relationships, are able to say, hey, here's how I can add value. And then, being exposed to it, you go, oh, wow, there's this whole part of the world.
It's beautiful.
Right.
It's beautiful. And we're actually friendly. There's a gentleman named Eric Pazza who works with United Nations, and he lives over in Ghana, Africa. And he's the one who actually rescued all the children. He would physically go in and rescue the children. We're friends with him. We actually, my whole life is very incestuous a little bit, but we actually had the Amistad, the boat, at the Oyster Festival a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And I brought in Eric Pazza to actually talk to the people that were at the event about slavery back then and current day slavery now, so that people could see the connection, because most people are unaware. But that, I need to say that those teenagers are the ones who opened my eyes and gave me the opportunities that I have in the nonprofit world.
So listen, folks, I don't care if you're 93, 43, or 13. or for that matter, I mean, I think of Ray Moeller at Little Saint Nick out here on Long Island. He's a kid. He was 7 or 8 years old when he said he wanted to start his foundation to help children. I don't care how young you are or how old you are. If you have an idea and you want to make a change, you want to make an impact, just do it. Just lean in and do it and make something happen and make the world a better place, man. We're only here for a short time. I say that all the time. I got 50 years left, but I don't know how many you all have left. So we're only here for a short time. It's a blink of an eye. What legacy are you going to leave? How are you going to make the world a better place? Kerry, you're making the world a better place, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate that these young ladies exposed you to this. So where do we go next? What happens? What do you start to do in nonprofit at that point?
Well, after, X number of years after we had saved 48 kids, the parents really wanted their daughters to be focused on going to college and all sorts of different things. So they decided to close down One is Greater Than None, but it had opened my eyes to all these possibilities. And by then I was already on Long Island. I was already meeting lots of other people in the nonprofit sector. And I still knew that my favorite thing to do was public relations. So technically, people are always like, well, what do you actually do for a living? So I actually own a PR firm.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for that, because that is what helps me be able to be philanthropic. So I want to say, 9-10 years ago, Ernie Canadeo, who owns the EGC Group, he's an amazing man. I met him through the Oyster Festival. Ended up introducing me to the Albanese organization, who's the master developer of Wine Dance and Wine Dance Rising. So if you haven't had an opportunity to drive along Straight Path and see the amazing transformation that's been happening within that community, I am the director of communications and programming for the Wine Dance Plaza Association. But there again, I feel like all my work in Hollis made it where somebody felt that I had a background where I could do good in Wine Dance, even though I'm from Merrick.
Well, let's just give people Wine Dance for a second, because those folks who might not understand the geography. Wine Dance, a lower income, lower socioeconomic community traditionally here on Long Island, right? I mean, can you define it better than that?
No, and but there are so many residents in Wine Dance who are so good. That just needed better places to live. They needed an investment in their community. They needed an investment in their, the train line. Yeah. So I'll be honest with you. I can't say enough about the work I've been exposed to and been able to assist with in Wine Dance. So I consider myself like just a vessel. Tell me what you need. Let me see if I can, if I don't know how to do it, I'll get someone who knows how to do it. So again,
it takes that. See, this is the thing. And I heard my own words while I was saying that. And I felt like it almost sounded judgmental, what I was saying about these communities, but it's not that. I think these communities are underserved. I think this is really when I say that these communities might be lower income, or it's a result of the investment not being done in certain parts of our island. It's certainly in parts of our country. I made the call before about Hollis and the city versus Long Island, but there are plenty of schools on Long Island that don't have a library. And shout out to the book fairies, my friends.
Yes,
book fairies.
We work with them in Wine Dance.
Of course, right? It makes sense, so Amy Zaslansky and her vision, and certainly under the leadership of Eileen Minogue, who here on Long Island is, what do you say, just an ultimate leader in the nonprofit sector. And it takes that investment in community, so from a judgment perspective, I think it's just about, when we see something that we can make an impact and improve, let's do that. And that's what I think is going on in Wine Dance. I believe Is Patchogue similar? I think Patchogue is that going
Patchogue's a couple years ahead of the curve when it comes to wine dance. They were the perfect example. Patchogue's beautiful, and we're like 4 years behind or 5 years behind.
But that's a great roadmap that's been set out as well, right? A roadmap from Patchogue.
Oh my goodness, yes. And then, of course, with the investment that they've done with Wine Dance Rising, I mean, the planning, what makes Wine Dance unique is that it was something that was done by the community. There was community buy-in. Steve Ballone actually was the person who really helped spearhead it, and everybody else has kind of followed suit. And the work that's gone into the community is just gorgeous.
So a couple of things I want to ask you, and we have to go to break in a sec, but when we come back, I'd love to go on a tour with you and see the community, maybe do some video and stuff like that, because I think it helps tell the story. If you're up for it, you talk PR.
Would love it. Would love it. You're more than welcome.
Love it. Because that would be cool for me, and I think it'd be cool to tell stories. I think isn't that what PR is anyway? Storytelling. You know, that's what my friend MJ Padone told me like last week. She was like, Tommy D, I'm a storyteller, and I guess I'm in PR then, Kerry, because I'm a storyteller.
Yes,
too.
you are.
I didn't realize. So, all right. So when we come back, we're at the point where Wine Dance Director of Communications. We're talking about it's called Wine Dance Rising, right? I'm getting that right. Wine Dance Rising, and we're going to get this to come to the. We're going to talk about Baby Essentials of Long Island and the impact that you're making there too. So
beautiful. It comes full circle.
It's coming full circle. It's coming full circle. We'll be right back. Philanthropy and Focus. Kerry and Tommy in the attic.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
The long and winding road of Kerry's story. I told you 23 was the year that your boy was going to become a crooner, everybody. So if you're not digging it, change the channel. What can I tell you? I'm going to sing for you. All right. Shout out to Amy Fleischer. Shout out to Mick Collins checking in on Facebook. Amy says, Tommy, would love an introduction for our newborn welcome fund baby boxes. That's Amy Fleischer, Kerry, my friend, who is the development officer over at Harmony Healthcare, formerly.
Heather and I were just speaking about her.
Heather and you were.
I'd love to be connected.
Of course you were. So because Heather and you are connected, and we'll get into that story if we don't run out of show before we get there. but that makes sense. So Heather, was on the show a bunch of months ago, and Amy was watching on Facebook, and Amy was like, I need to meet Heather. So I was like, cool. So we met, and that's how that happened. And she hooked them up with diapers for a recent event at the Elmont Memorial High School, my old district where I grew up.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and it was just really great health fair. Anyway, let's get back to the story because we are going to run out of time before we know it. So get me back on the long and winding road. Let's take it. So where were we? We're in Wyandanch.
We're in Wyandanch. So I'm learning, about need again and how I can help. So my whole thing is, yes, I can, I can work in the community. I can put together arts and cultural events. That's what I do. Great. But my heart is saying that there are some families with abject need.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we work with the Resource Center in Wyandanch and a couple of, the Gerald Ryan Outreach Center and a bunch of other organizations to help families. And one of the other things that happens is along this time, I had the Allied Physicians Group became a client. And
Just to interrupt, meaning you were doing PR for them, right?
I was doing PR and marketing
for the Physicians Group, which is a
and
long
then they
practices.
And they decided, to start a foundation. So I was there at the founding of the foundation. And since then, obviously, Heather has done a spectacular job expanding on everything.
Just for some context, let me give you, for those of you who may not be a fan of Philanthropy and Focus, and I just don't understand that. But let's just say you didn't know Tommy D. Heather Edwards is a friend of ours. She was on a panel discussion I did on Friday at the Viscardi School. God, I'm such a name dropper. Over at Viscardi, at the Viscardi Center. And Heather is the executive director of the Allied Foundation. Millions of diapers have gone into the hands of families in need. As well as period supplies, because you may not know, but that is actually a major need for women and young girls that just don't have access to resources. So that's a whole nother thing. So Allied Physicians Group realizes, why are these babies coming in with rashes and
UTIs?
Okay, UTIs, and they're asking what's going on? What are you doing? And the parents say, well, often I have to leave the child in the same diaper, a soiled diaper, because I don't have money to buy another diaper, right, Kerry? So that was the kind of catalyst that formed that organization. That is,
and honestly, the doctors wanted to fix whatever problems they could fix, and that's how they started the Allied Foundation. So let's take it the next couple of years. COVID hits.
Okay.
I'm on Plainview Mom's Facebook page and a couple of the other moms' Facebook pages. And their husbands all keep their job. My husband kept his job. I kept my job. But everybody starts firing their housekeepers, their childcare providers. They're firing anybody that they, that they're too afraid to have in the home. Mm-hmm. But what that does is that you take that segment of the population who has a cash income, and you've taken away anything that they had for their family. So they can't go and get money, unemployment from the government and things like that. They all of a sudden have nothing. So here I am. I'm like, oh my God, they don't have diapers. They don't have wipes. They don't have formula. I don't want, babies starving because their parent doesn't have enough money. So that's why. And then also, because they don't have money, most of the truly in need don't have cars. So there's no way to avail yourself of other services. So
all right, hold on. I got to pause you. Let's set
that's okay.
Let's set this up. First of all, freaking COVID. I mean, God, I talk about the ripple effect in such a positive way. But when you think of what that certainly the initial, the early 2020, right, where we were all scared and hunkered down, for those of us who could be hunkered down, again, the essential workers, shout out. I was talking to a woman just this week who runs a nonprofit organization around equal pay and support for home healthcare workers, right? Home healthcare workers were essential workers, nurses and doctors, police, firemen. Obviously, we appreciate all the work everybody did, specifically the nurses. I just, remember everybody outside like banging pans at 7 o'clock and stuff like that with the nurses, but to just think of how far the ripples went and the things that people witnessed, like you saw this, you go, oh my God, there's a whole community of people now that are not getting what they need. And now, hold on, they can't drive somewhere to pick things up, is I think where you were going.
Yes.
So okay, cool. All right, I get it. I can get the diapers, I can get wipes. I got them here. But now what happens?
Now I have to be able to deliver them. So I started hiring people to make deliveries. Literally, kids that were coming home from college, this and that, kids that needed community service hours. Their parents would drive, they would drop them off. And this went on for about 2 years. And then, thank the Lord, I met Adam Haber, who has a company called Trellis. And he does short distance deliveries. So every week we set up our little system, and every week his people go out and make deliveries for us. So we deliver anywhere, probably about 50 families a week.
Still, like now, or in the beginning of when you were doing that?
Oh, no. I mean, even now, especially with the way, it's scary. It's 50, 60, 70 families a week.
All right. So let's take a pause. First of all, I met Adam Haber is his last name, right?
Yes.
I met him at the Queen's Chamber of Commerce at a holiday event where I was wearing a red velvet jacket because I do. But I never knew him before, and we just kind of, it was it's almost like, we're standing talking business card, here's mine, here's yours, that sort of thing, and then never really had a chance to connect with him again until I heard you tell me about him at the Long Island Children's Museum maybe a month ago when we were there with the Nonprofit Resource Hub. If you don't know what Nonprofit Resource Hub is, go to nonprofitresourcehub.org or send me a message, Tommy D at philanthropyandphocus.com. Phocus is Phocus, and I'll get you sorted out because we are really connected in the sector. So I had met Adam, and I don't really know him, but to know now that he's done this work with you tells me I need to know this man, because he's a businessman, but he's giving back and he's involved. I know you said you pay him, but I'm assuming just his involvement.
Oh, he does very right by us. I can't say enough good things about him and about his team.
Love it. Shout out the name of his company and Trellis. Okay, cool.
And it's all local delivery.
All local delivery. Love it. All right. So now we have to go to one quick break. And then we're back, and then we're going to finish the show. When we come back, I want you to tell us more about the stories, what the delivery is like each week, what folks are getting, how it all works logistically. And then I want you to share with me. And by the way, I shared this stuff on Facebook, everybody, but if you're finding this somewhere else, the website is babyessentialsofli.org, babyessentialsofli.org, and they have a very big presence on Facebook. On Facebook, it's Baby Essentials LI. I shared this stuff on Facebook, but if you're not listening on Facebook, that's where you'll find Kerry and the organization. We're going to go to a quick break. Kerry, when we come back, let's bring it back and let's talk about what, like I say, the logistics, the look and feel, and ultimately, who do you need to meet? How can we help? And I know we need checks, but other than checks, what else do we need for this organization? Sounds good?
Yes, thank you.
We're going to a break. Right back.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Phocus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Dangerous part about being Tommy D is sometimes ideas come into your head and you just say them. So here's one for you. I'm standing here and I remember talking to my friend Yolanda Rabano Gross last night, who is very involved in theater. We ran into these people who are Marist grads, and she's a Marist grad. So I started talking about theater up in Marist, and I was telling you all that I was in the 6th grade play and I was a Tin Man. Oil can. That was how I tried out. That was my audition, and I got the role. I think we should do a play. That's what I was going to tell you, Kerry. I think we should do a play. I don't know how. I'm sure there's plenty of theater groups. I could probably just go do that. But what if we just did a play? Anyway, I will just leave that out there for you all. You tell me if we should do a play. I don't know what it's about. It could be the long and winding road of Kerry Gillick-Goldberg. I don't know. It could just be. It could be the Wizard of Oz. I don't know. Let's try something. We'll be back on that. Maybe we'll raise some money for some organization doing it. I think it would be fun. I am a performer, Kerry. That's just what it is.
Naturally, yes.
That's what it is. So we'll see how that goes. All right. I want to know about what happens each day and how you know who you're going to be serving and what it looks like. What is the organization actually?
No problem.
Please.
We are fortunate that we work with an organization called Help Me Grow. Now, Help Me Grow is, I don't want to use the word partner, but we partner with them on diaper delivery. So what happens is they are a part, I don't know if you're familiar with the United Way's 211 number. If you don't know about it, you should.
No, I was thinking about the one. I was out at the United Way interviewing them for the Long Island Imagine Awards, and they were talking. I was thinking more about their warmth number. There's like a phone number, like
that's Project Warmth. Yes, and they have a number that's 211. It's like a non-emergency emergency number.
Okay.
And if you have a child under 5, you want to be connected with Help Me Grow, and they happen to be option 7 on this 211 call number.
Okay.
And what happens is there's actually a real person that calls you back, and they become your case manager as long as you have a child 5 and under. And they'll help you if you have issues with electric, gas, you name it. But if you have a need, if you need clothing for the baby, if you need a bassinet, you need diapers, primarily diapers, wipes, you need formula, you tell them what you need, and they are in charge of my delivery list.
So I'm looking at them right now. Tell me if this is the right one. Helpmegrow.org. That's the website.
That might be the main one for the country, but there's a Help Me Grow Long Island.
Okay, cool.
And you access it on the phone with 211.
When you call the United Way. So you call United Way.
No, you call 211.
Just literally on my phone, I dial 211.
Yeah, it's like calling 911.
Calling 911. That's going to take me to United Way, and then I choose option 7. And then I explain that I have certain needs, and then they'll help me get what I access.
Exactly. They'll connect you with whoever you need connecting, as long as your child is 5 and under. And I'm the one that they connect with for diaper delivery.
Got it. Awesome. Okay.
And they actually manage my, Google file that has all the deliveries. And then, so what happens is every day new deliveries come in, but people also send me messages through Facebook. Mm-hmm. And some people, once they get my phone number, they end up texting me their needs as well. I send all that information to Carmen, who works about 15 hours a week for Belly. She takes that information, she bundles everything up, and then she uploads everything to Trellis or to ACDS, which is one of the local nonprofits that has young adults with
intellectual
Down
development
syndrome.
with Downs, mainly
But
Downs.
mainly with Downs, and then they will do local deliveries, and it's lovely.
I know, it's great.
It's like beautiful.
This is the whole thing for me, you know. I mean, so you have people in need. You have a strategic partnership with another nonprofit, right? The United Way is involved. Then you have a strategic partnership with Andrew Haber and his business, okay, a for-profit business that's doing work in tandem with the nonprofit. Then you have another strategic relationship with these young people who've probably aged out of the school system, and this is part of their give back and their community service, and gives them value in their day by making an impact, not dissimilar from what Eileen and the team and Sherry
Yes.
over at Book Fairies do, where they work with, I don't know, I want to say like 60 different nonprofit
I know. Eileen was telling me the number was huge.
It's crazy. And same serving, I don't want to say same, but similar population of young adults that are that are picking up books all around New York and bringing books to. I mean, this is it, man. Like, this is all, like, if we could just do this all day, like if this was,
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
and you've kind of figured it out. I'm in the process of figuring that out, to just spend all my time, or as much of my time, my business time, in this world, because this is what's right. This is where we should be making an impact. How can people get more involved? Do you need volunteers? Do you need, I mean, it sounds like delivery is all sorted out. The logistics is sorted out. So how can people get involved and or help? Or do you have an event coming up? Like, tell us about that.
Okay. As far as events, the town of Babylon's town clerk, she is collecting items for me. She's collecting diapers, wipes, clothing, you name it, anything for a baby. So those can all be delivered either to Town Hall with Babylon. Or Assemblywoman Kimberly Jean-Pierre's office. And they're doing the collection now.
Can we direct anybody there? Is there like a flyer or something we can share out?
We can share. I'll get the flyer for you.
Send it to me, and then we'll get it back out on social media and things.
And they can always also, Kimberly Jean-Pierre's office is very, very active with us. And she was honestly one of the best people I've ever met. And I met her through my work in Wyandanch.
I love it. I found her website. So NewYorkAssembly.gov/mem/Kimberly Jean Jean-Pierre. But I will share this on Facebook, so those of you who are connected to what we're doing on Facebook will see that. Thank you, Kimberly, for your service, Kimberly, because if you're listening, we appreciate what you're doing. Sometimes Tommy D is a bit cranky, but when I hear how government is incredibly involved with the work that we're doing as nonprofits, it makes me less cranky.
Well, I want you to know that the Assembly was very generous, and they actually gave us a reimbursable grant.
I love it. I love to hear these
So
things.
that is the collection that's happening now. We also do collections if, say, your child is now 6 years old, your house is exploding with, almost new, well cared for items. Right. We will actually do a pickup. Mm-hmm. We will launder everything, and then we distribute it out to the public.
You're doing clothing now, right?
We do clothing. We do, one of the big things is the bassinets, because babies need a safe place to sleep. Yeah. Because honestly, last year in Central Islip, a family, the baby died because the baby was sleeping in a drawer and the cabinet fell over, and the dresser fell over. So we do try, if someone has a need, honestly, if someone really has a need, I'm going to Bye Baby, or I'm going to Target and I'm buying it.
Yeah. I get it. And I know, I hear you. I feel you. And I know.
And honestly, the funds that I earn in Wyandanch, this is going to sound weird, but my husband and I were like, we didn't really want to make money on working in Wyandanch.
Yeah.
So the monies that I get for working in Wyandanch, we put back in the community and back in the nonprofit and just back in Wyandanch. And it gives me, an allotment of funds that I have at my disposal to put back in. Look, I'm very blessed. The mortgage is paid.
Yeah.
The husband has a good job and he doesn't mind the nonprofit work.
Well, shout out to him. I appreciate him because he as a partner gets you to do this stuff that, and that's what we need. We need partners. We need teammates to help us get things done. So I appreciate that. So the town of Babylon, really, they can just go to town hall
And do a drop off.
Right. Or assembly member, Kimberly Jean-Pierre. You can
Yes.
connect with her.
And then they can reach out to us to do a pickup.
How do they do that?
On our website, there's a number they can text. There's also an email address that they can email. So it's info@babyessentialsofli.org.
Perfect. All right.
Oh, and then there's more.
Well,
There's an Amazon link.
What's the Amazon link? Yeah. You wanted to tell me about that. Tell us that quick.
That did send it to you. If we could put that.
I will put it out on Facebook.
That would be fabulous because that's amazing. And it literally just comes to me.
What does that mean? People can buy product at Amazon?
They can buy product. We say thank you. And it gets delivered to my home.
I'm putting that in the chat on Facebook. If you're checking out, if you're listening and you want to find this all later on, go to Philanthropy and Phocus on Facebook. You will find all this. Last thing I got to do, and then we actually got to get out of here. We're over time. But what I want to say is Backyard Players and Friends. I visited with them in Rockville Center just last week. And they have this place called Love by Nana, where all these individuals with intellectual developmental disabilities will come there, and people they send their gently used baby clothes, and they have a bunch of washers and dryers. Oh my God, Kerry, we got to go there together. Backyard Players and Friends. Shout out to Ellen White. Shout out to Mike Durney, who made that connection, and my Aunt Ellen, founder of the Lindy Lou Foundation, volunteers there. We got to leave it there. The show is Philanthropy and Focus. Kerry, I appreciate your friendship. Steve Fry's up next. Stay here on talkradio.nyc and always make it a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.